What's up, guys? Welcome back. Now, I've got a rock pun for you. What did the rock say to the geologist? Don't take me for granted. Welcome back to an episode of McConnell Madness. Today, we will be learning about the rock cycle. That's right, not the water cycle with precipitation, etc. It's the rock cycle. Similar, but not with water, with rocks. Now, I know what you're thinking. Rocks are just rocks. Mr. McConnell, what are you talking about? No, you're absolutely wrong. See, there are three major types of rocks. There are igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary. These three types of rocks also have the ability to change into each other. The first type of rock we'll talk about is the sedimentary rock. So, basically on the surface of the earth, you have rocks that get broken down over time into tiny pieces. That's where we get sand from. It's just rocks that have been broken down into tiny pieces. Now, over time, rivers, different bodies of water can fuse these pieces together into bigger rocks. So basically you have, let's say you have a handful of sand. Well, that handful of sand, if it's left on the bottom of a riverbed for a really long time, it can get forced together and eventually it'll fuse into a sedimentary rock. The cool thing about sedimentary rocks is if you look really closely, you can see each individual tiny piece. It literally looks like a ball of sand that is now solid and confined into one object. For each of the three phases of rocks, I will be using jelly beans to demonstrate how each of them is created from one phase to the next. So, for sedimentary, let's say these jelly beans are like particles of sand. Okay? So, eventually erosion and rivers, water, elements of the weather will cause these sand particles to mash up together, right? Finally, over time, each of the smaller pieces will be fused together. Now, you can see each individual piece of the sand, however, it is now one object. So what happens when you add heat and pressure? That's when you have a metamorphic rock. Rocks can be changed into a metamorphic rock on friction of the Earth's shifting crust or pressure deep within the Earth, or even radioactive decay. The heat and pressure causes the rock formation to change, and thus becoming a new rock. Even though it's taken on a new form, you can actually, in most times, still see the different elements that were put together to create this rock. To get to the metamorphic rock, we're going to add some heat and some pressure. So, we took it out of the freezer, and this is what it looks like now. I don't know if you can tell, but it's similar. You can still see the separate grains of sand and whatnot. However, it is very much more fused together, if you will. Especially, you can see this side, the colors are more blending together. So this is our metamorphic rock. The third type of rock in the rock cycle is the igneous. When rocks inside the earth get superheated and form into a liquid, that's what you call magma. Now when this magma comes up above the earth's crust, it solidifies. Igneous rocks have a uniform structure throughout the rock. However, they may have different properties depending on whether they cooled above the Earth's crust or within the crust. So now, to make the igneous rock, we are going to melt it down even more to a liquid. See, what it was before was it started to lose its form, but it wasn't completely liquid. So now when we get to igneous, we're going to completely melt this into one liquid. And then we're going to let it cool, and we should have our igneous. So as you can tell with this video, you can see that the rock that we have melted down is all blended into almost one color. It's harder to tell each separate grain from one another. However, I sort of ruined this mug because I was unable to get the so-called rock out with a knife. Anyways, this is our igneous rock now. It is all a solid form. However, this is not the end of the story. The rock cycle can go in any direction. You can have an igneous rock go to a sedimentary or a metamorphic. You can have a metamorphic go back to a sedimentary. You can have a sedimentary rock go and straight become an igneous rock. There are different shortcuts to becoming one rock to a different rock to a different rock. The cycle goes on, and that's why it's called the rock cycle.